Russell?
This is Russell.
Hi, Russell. My name's Joe Gomez. I'm an internet reporter out here in Yuma, and wanted to talk to you about this stuff that's going on at the airport. I understand that the county has been named, and I'm trying to understand. Someone told me that you guys, as the Board of Supervisors, have kind of a hands-off approach and really don't have a vested interest in whatever the airport does over here. Is that the case?
Well, that's an incorrect way of putting it. The correct way to describe it is we have no authority.
I see.
Over the airport authority. They are their own quasi-governmental entity. They are subject. That's why they're subject to the open meeting law. They are a public entity. And so, that's, for instance, that'd be like the Board of Supervisors trying to tell the Yuma City Council what to do and how to do it. That doesn't work.
Right. Okay, because I was reading through, the thing that really piqued my interest was I was reading through the actual lease. There was a document that was made public in the litigation between Lux Air and the airport authority, and in the lease, and I don't know if you've seen this document, but it pretty much spells out that while they are a kind of an independent agency, independent of you guys, they still serve as your agent, and so by extension, you guys are still kind of ultimately responsible for their conduct.
No, that's an incorrect interpretation. I mean, that's an interpretation that's not correct. And the best way I can describe it is, for instance, let's say that I lease a commercial building to you, and you go in there and you open a business, and the next thing we know, you've been fleecing your client, and there's a lawsuit, or even criminal charges are filed. That doesn't fall back to the property owner if they've simply leased the property in good faith. They don't have a liability for what the person who has leased the property does as in the course of their day-to-day business.
Well, I can appreciate that. I don't know that after reading this document, and I've got your email address. I think it's just a regular county one. I'll send this to you. Have you read and are you very familiar with the lease and all the amendments between the county and the authority?
Pretty much. And I also sought legal opinion several years ago when there was some stuff going on. And that is the legal opinion. It's a rather lengthy opinion that has been put down by the county attorney. In fact, by coincidence, I discussed it with the county attorney today. The first time that the lawsuit was filed was the attorney named Yuma County. After Yuma County contacted the attorney, Yuma County was dropped. Now there's another attorney, and this attorney has also included Yuma County. We anticipate that once things are made clear to this attorney how it works, that will be dropped again because we are not, we don't have a pecuniary interest in it. It's just not, it is not county run. I mean, it has our name, but, people have that same confusion with the Yuma County Humane Society. And I would get calls thinking that I had some sort of authority over the Yuma County Humane Society. Not true. They're another agency that we simply contracted with to perform service.
Okay, so what you made reference to the fact that there was a lawsuit where you guys were dropped. Are you talking about the Lux Air case, the one that's the most recent one?
Yeah, I believe that's the one, yeah.
Okay, because I'm not familiar with that. I never knew the county to ever be joined in that lawsuit. I know that in the Garza Aviation lawsuit, I went to the courthouse and saw some documentation on that lawsuit, but as far as Lux Air, I don't know that the county had ever been joined until the 17th of the document that I just saw had the county of Yuma being joined, or they're asking Judge Nelson, I guess, to join the county, and that was filed on the 17th of May last week.
I'm sorry, I'm in my car and it cut you off.
Oh, that's okay.
But now, and I don't. Here's what I can tell you. It is my understanding that we're talking about the Lux Air. In other words, I think if you research it, you will find that the attorney has changed. So if you go all the way back to the beginning, so if I'm correct, and it is Lux Air that the county attorney was referring to, because, I think that's what all the excitement is about. On this Lux Air suit, the county was named recently. Well, in talking to the county attorney, originally, when it was originally filed, Yuma County was named. And when the Yuma County Attorney's Office explained why that was incorrect, they were dropped. And I see no reason to believe that won't happen again. Yuma County does not carry the liability for the Yuma County Airport Authority. They're their own separate entity. If they weren't, I don't think they would have the same open meeting law requirements. They're their own entity. Like I said, it would be parallel, in my opinion, and I'm no attorney, but that would be much like the Board of Supervisors telling the City Council what to do and how to do it. It doesn't work that way.
Well, but I think that we can differentiate between the two of them, because one is city and one is county, and those are distinctly different. I think that the reason why I'm kind of perplexed here is that after reading, because I agreed with everything that you're telling me, but I just read the lease where you guys give them that land for $1 a year, and there's some verbiage in there that I'm not a lawyer either, but in my interpretation is that ultimately you guys have fiduciary oversight, in the grander scheme of things. Sure, day-to-day operation is left with them autonomously, and they can operate autonomously in the day-to-day, but in terms of the bigger picture, and if their financial situation became in dire straits or insolvent, or they became tangled up in litigation to where they were subject to some judgments and whatnot, it just appeared to me as though the county would have at least some sort of obligation, and that's all. That's all I'm trying to frame up here.
For those types of issues, I'd have to refer you to the county attorney, because any foray that I made into that, that's not my expertise, and it would not. I wouldn't have any assurance I was giving you accurate information. What I do know is that the only way that Yuma County would ever exercise any authority at the airport is if the Yuma County Airport Authority basically disbanded, ceased to run the operation. Then the airport would revert back to the county. But that's like the commercial lease I referred to earlier. Same thing there. If somebody's leasing property from you, and then they decide, well, we're not going to be in business any longer, the leaseholder gets the property back. It's really the same thing. You would not be responsible for any of the debts that business had incurred.
Yeah.
If you were, nobody would lease the building. So that's the best parallel I can give you. Any farther than that, you'd really have to speak to the county attorney.
Right. Okay, well, I appreciate that, because, again, another person had indicated that, that you guys didn't care about what they did, and, I didn't think that was properly contextualized. I don't know that it's that you don't care. It's just from what you're telling me, it's like you guys really don't have, from a legal standpoint, you really don't have, any sort of authority to interact with what they're doing.
Well, yeah, you've got that right. And let me clarify for you. it is not that we don't have an interest. We are regularly, the Board of Supervisors is regularly represented at those meetings, either by the attendance of a supervisor or the county administrator. And we stay actively involved. I talk with Greg Williams. I talk with people from the Yuma Airport Watchdog group. I talked to several persons. So, in fact, I think, isn't that your website?
Yeah, I registered. I guess I get all the glory. I don't do 100% of it, but I registered the domain, and yeah.
So what you can see is, it's not that we don't care, and not that we don't have any involvement. Of course we have involvement. We have appropriate involvement. Where that when we have concerns, we discuss it with board members. Someone approaches us, like yourself or Mr. Rachel. I can't remember. I've met with several other people. Russ Clark and I have had extensive conversation. I mean, just people with an interest. I've had rather lengthy conversations with them. So to say that we're not interested is a complete falsehood. Of course we are. This is something within our community and something that we all care about as well. But you are correct in the end that we have no authority. So even if we didn't like what they were doing, even if we were mortified by what they were doing, we have no legal authority to tell them to do anything different.
Yeah, I know it's a convoluted structure. In fact, I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges that faces that airport authority. In fact, the way that it's laid out is the airport director reports to the board, and then the board reports to the public. Well, that's a very broad definition there.
Yeah, and it is. You can definitely. It's very confusing. You can see that for yourself. And I don't think that if this was in today's world. If we were considering, say, the Board of Supervisors were running the airport and they wanted to turn it over, another group of citizens said, hey, we'd like to run it, I would imagine they would be constructed differently. But that was back in the 60s, I believe, when that was conceived and done. And so they basically, the Board of Supervisors at that time, completely gave away their rights. That's what we have today.
Right. Well, if they became insolvent and they were unable to do business based on, a judgment, in other words, if Lux Air was to remain victorious in their lawsuit and they were to get a judgment of millions and millions of dollars and bankrupt them, then would you guys have some level of interaction?
No. The only time that the county, from my understanding, again, you've got to go to the attorney.
Yeah.
My opinion only, and it carries no weight. But as I understand it, the only way that the Yuma County steps back into that airport is if they cease doing business. So in other words, they can be bankrupt. They can be bankrupt, file for reorganization, go through the entire court system like any business has the ability to do. They can perhaps even reorganize as long as they keep running the airport operations. The county cannot step back in. But again, I'm not an attorney. That's simply my opinion, and I could be completely wrong, but that's how I understand it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'd like to do is, I've got your email from the county webpage. I'm going to send you a couple documents because I think that, and again, we're not lawyers, but if you read this lease, I mean, there's some pretty simple language that I interpret as I think that you guys do have a little bit more. The strings are attached while they may be loose. I think that you still do have, for lack of a better term, the airport on a leash, and you have the ability to rein them in if the situation warrants itself. And again, that's just my interpretation, and I don't know if these documents look very old, and there's been amendments to them, but it's all part of the most recent court filings that were done in the Lux Air case, where the attorney added all the leases between the county and and the Yuma County Airport Authority, the county proper, and then the authority. But I'll send that stuff to you. If it's redundant and you've already got it, then just throw it in the trash can.
Yeah.
But I'll nonetheless email it to you.
In all honesty, that's fine. But I won't be able to comment on it because that would be for the county attorney to do.
Yeah.
So that's just the appropriate way of things. That's the county's attorney, and when it comes to a legal document like that and an interpretation, I won't make an interpretation on that document. I'm not qualified.
Yeah.
So the only thing I've explained to you is how I understand things. That doesn't mean my understanding is correct.
Yeah.
I don't just make statements willy-nilly. I've achieved that understanding through many conversations, many hours of talking to attorneys and individuals, and so those are my conclusions that I've drawn doing my own research. So as far as interpreting what a document says, a legal document, no, that's not my bailiwick.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate the time, and good talking with you, and hopefully we'll talk again at some point in the future.
All right. Very well. Thanks, Joe.
Okay. Bye-bye.